I think one of the point that really stood out for me was the long term. Look at the long term gain, and we as physician, if we are not, we should not be worried about short term reward. We should be worried about playing the long game. And most of the time, what we lose money either in stock or real estate is when we try to make a quick buck. Okay, this stock is gonna go up tomorrow, and we're gonna sell it and make $10,000. It's
Hmm.
not gonna happen. It may
Yep.
happen to one in thousand, but not to you.
Yep.
And you have to accept this thing. Invest in companies that have good long-term potential. I lost money that way, like, yeah, trying to make a quick buck. Everybody
Hmm.
did that thing, but it's a good learning point, and try to learn from it. And similarly, like, it's always good to be reasonable and then rational. I think there's another point in that book is sometimes reasonable is better than being rational.
Welcome to the Real Estate Mogul M.D. podcast. Thanks for tuning in and taking control of your financial future. This is a show where we not only motivate and inspire, we give you actionable, real-world experience to help you live life by design. You'll hear journeys and stories from other physicians, investors, coaches, consultants, and entrepreneurs. And now, here's your host, Brett Riggins. What happens when a newly minted interventional cardiologist lands in a new country, faces visa limitations, and still builds a future rooted in values, discipline, and long-term wealth? In this episode, you'll hear how today's guest is navigating early career medicine, Islamic investing principles, and real estate curiosity, all while staying focused on the one thing, not trading peace of mind for appearances. I'm joined today by Dr. Ahmad Awan, a Pakistani-born physician now practicing in Louisiana, who brings a grounded, global perspective on career growth, social pressure, ethical investing, and staying aligned with your purpose, even when everyone else is racing to keep up. Hey, let's get right into this. Well, here we are. The time has come. And even though I've rehearsed to say your name the best way as possible, you've even given me a shortcut. You said I could call you Ahmad. How about that? How you doing today, Ahmad?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. We had to reschedule because I had a little cold last time that we were on the schedule. So I appreciate that. I know it could be so challenging because you are a physician, like many of our listeners. And that time schedule that, is just is difficult. So before we get started, first, how does it feel to be Ahmad today?
It feels good. It feels good. I mean, it's good to be here and nice talking to you. We have a nice weather in Louisiana, and surprisingly, it's almost mid of May, and we still have very nice weather.
Yeah,
So,
not too hot yet. And the sun is shining. I'm in the Carolinas. We got a break from the rain here a little bit. But also, before we go too far, I would love to hear your name the way that you say it, so everybody can hear your name the way it should be said.
so yeah, I've been called Ahmad more time than I've been called Ahmad since I moved to US. So I
Yeah,
actually pronounce my name Ahmad Awan, and
love
this
it.
is actually a pretty common Muslim name, and that's been used almost everywhere in the Muslim world. So yeah,
Yep.
but in America, I've been called more Ahmad more time than Ahmad,
Yeah.
so I'm used to
Yeah.
it, and I'm not really fussed about it.
That's awesome. Maybe I could have the team just like cut you saying it into every time I say Ahmad, they could put your voice in there. It'd be funny.
No, no,
No,
no
we'll
problem.
go. I appreciate you giving me the shorthand version of it. So let's get into this. Tell me a little bit about, first of all, your medical background, where you started and where you're at now.
So my medical background, like, I started in Pakistan. In Pakistan, we have a different system than USA. In USA, what we do is 4 years bachelor's or undergrad, and then you go to med school. In Pakistan, after high school, you go directly into med school. So after high school, and the med school is 5 years. So obviously, it's more competitive. I won't say more, but it's competitive to get into med school. And as 17, 18 years old, you're not really sure what you want to do. So it's mostly what your parents ask you to do. And our
Hmm.
parents are always very involved in the future, and they think being doctor is a great thing, especially for my parents. My father was a physician, so he wanted me to be a physician. So it's
Yeah.
kind of that sort of thing. So we were in Pakistan, so I went to med school in Pakistan. It's called Army Medical College. It's operated by the Pakistan Army, and it has both army and civilian seats. So I was on the civilian seat on that one. So I did my med school in Pakistan. After med school, I came to USA. I obviously took my USMLE exams, and I started my residency at Howard University Hospital. I did my residency in internal medicine, and I did cardiology fellowship both at Howard University. And then I went to New York. The personal obstacles were mostly like I think change in system. In Pakistan, we mostly follow the British system, and in USA, it's mostly. I mean, obviously, it's American system because it is
Right.
US, but it's like totally different from Pakistani system. However, the education in med school, I think the broader concept was same, and the clinical aspect was much more emphasized on during our med school as compared to med school here, which I realized, and which was actually a positive side for me when I came to US. Obviously, USA health budget is exponentially more than the health budget in Pakistan. So we were not that used to ordering that many investigations in Pakistan. So you rely very heavily on physical examination and basic lab work. The advanced imagings were mostly out of question or unaffordable for most of the patient. So I think that's the thing here in USA, you can order any state of the art investigation and state of the art treatment for any patient. So I think the step up was like to actually learn up those investigations, how to order them, how to interpret them, and how to confidently manage that thing. The financially, I think it wasn't too challenging for me. If in that particular aspect, I was lucky enough, like my father was a physician who agreed to sponsor me, and I had also a brother who was in USA, so I had some guidance how to navigate that system. So for me, it wasn't as hard as for other immigrant physicians. Usually the obstacle that other immigrant physicians have to face, I did not have to face them. But for most of the physicians who come from Pakistan, you have to realize the $1 is at this currently 270 Pakistani rupees. So obviously there is exponentially more expensive to earn in Pakistan and then spend in USA. So for a lot of people, it becomes very challenging. They have to take out loans, and they have to obviously staying in USA is very expensive. Like in Pakistan, what the expense of one person here in US is much more than the expense of 3 families in Pakistan. So sometimes the people who come here, the whole family has to make some sacrifices, or they have to take loans to come to USA and achieve their dream of doing residency in USA.
And I know that you're early on in your career yet, especially in the financial piece of it as well too. But tell us a little bit how, or does your immigration status impact your ability to invest or plan financially early on in your career like this?
So few things about it. We as immigrants, we are not taught financial literacy. Like the people in USA are much more aware of the American system. Obviously, they see their parents apply for like 401k 5 to 9. So they're very early on. They are into a habit of their retirement. They talk about retirement very early on. Whereas in Pakistan, the whole financial plan my parents had was to work hard. And if they save enough money, they buy a real estate property, which they can sell it at the time of emergency. And the retirement plan was to just most of the time the government job has a retirement plan that they just go by. So we don't really have that much financial literacy when you come to USA. And again, like during residency, you are pretty much paycheck to paycheck, or more like hand to mouth, and you don't have much money to invest regardless. However, the other basic issue that most of the immigrants face or have is the visa restriction. Because of your visa, you are very limited at what you do. You cannot moonlight as easily or flexibly as most of the people with green card or citizenship they can. You are limited to only your place of work, and which actually is a good thing, that you can actually focus on your residency training and focus on your own learning. And because residency is already very, very physically challenging and has long hours. So whatever time you left off, you pretty much relax or just study for it. But on the flip side, you do not have the flexibility to make extra money. And the other thing is, like, even now, like, with I'm on J1 waiver, so you have to do a waiver to go to a place of need. Luckily, I found a waiver at a place which is a nice town, but most of the people have to go to a small town to do it, and that's another limitation. And fourthly, I guess, still, like, the visa restricts you to for other options, like opening LLC. I mean, obviously you can do it, but there are a lot of restrictions for that particular visas and skill set. So that's one thing. I mean, there's some of the things that people feel about it.
So you mentioned and I have no personal experience in any of this. My lack of knowledge, I can put it that way, well, it actually comes from conversations that I had. And I just had a guest come on, and he has a company called Home Abroad. And you mentioned about starting an LLC, and they actually help walk you through that process, because you're not able to get an EIN from the IRS as easily as somebody who has a Social Security number. So that Home Abroad place was platform is really cool to help you through that process, but kind of like tippy-toeing our way into real estate investing here. But before we get there, I've heard you say that 0.32% of the population are doctors, right? And you said that you mess it up. What do you mean by that? What do you see the biggest blind spot is when it comes to money?
So I think we were talking about it before, like we doctors are very high earners. Like, if you look at it, like during one of the graduation, they mentioned it, like, we are blessed ones. Like, if you look at the whole population, there's 1 in 300,000 people who's a physician, and they are high earners, and we work very hard. We go to the life, we have a very good academic or career, and we also have a good professional job, which give us good satisfaction. I think the best advice I got was from one of my mentors was, don't mess it up. Like, we have a tendency of messing it up, both financially and professionally. And I give you one example. Like, we earn money, and then we're like, okay, where do we invest? And we listen to people who we should not listen to. Some people, you realize, are whether well-intentioned, or at best, if they're well-intentioned, they're not as literate as they appear to be, and they ask you to invest in places where you just lose tens of thousands of dollars, and not fully understanding the implication of that investment. Or at worst, they are ill faith, and they're just a bit of scumbags who just want to take your money away, and you just invest in places where you lose the money and they make the money. So for me, I think the bigger learning point was not to invest in a place which you do not understand. If somebody's putting a proposition and you don't have any benefit for it, and if you have no understanding or background in that, please don't invest. Read about it, study about it, and then invest in it. If you most of the time, because we focus so much our time and effort in medicine, we don't put that much time and effort in things other than medicine, especially from the financial aspect of it. And as we have a stable job, we think that we can use that money and risk it. But again, it's a hard-earned money, and it should not be. It should be used with caution. It should be used from a place of understanding rather than from a place of trust. Obviously, there are people who you can trust, but most of the time, you need to really do a deep dive into what you are investing. And same for career advice. Like, you need to listen to people which makes sense to you. Like, not every advice by every person will be applicable to you. You have your own path, you have your own journey, and no matter and some people, they mean well, some people, they give advice even when they don't mean well. So you have to filter the advice, you have to filter the advice, you have to filter your investment, and learn to say no. I think that's what I mean. Like, if some plans, it's hard, like when somebody give you a good paint a rosy scenario, okay, you're going to make this much amount of money without doing much, and you feel like, okay, this is the money I can easily set aside, and I can invest it, and the return will be exponential. Most of the time, if it's too good to be true, it is too good to be true.
Yeah, yeah. And those, oh man, those high risk, high reward moments, they're out there, but they are unicorns. And if you are in those moments, it's hard because that integrity piece is so big, Ahmad. Like, it makes me ill. It makes me sick to my stomach for those times. I mean, the both of us and probably the listeners can think back through the different experiences of their life where they've bumped against people like this. And it's so frustrating. So yes, trust is huge. And then you can leverage that trust more and bearing on the integrity of the people within your circle to take a little more leaps, bigger leaps more often when you don't have all of the information. So it's coming down to who is in your circle, who you're leaning on. Those relationships are huge. I think a lot of what you just said there is a piece of why physicians lose wealth despite being high earners. Is there anything else that stands out to you?
No, I think that's another thing. Like like there's a book called Psychology of Money, and I think that tells us it's a great book, and I encourage everyone to read it. I think one of the point that really stood out for me was the long term. Look at the long term gain, and we as physician, if we should not be worried about short term reward. We should be worried about playing the long game. And most of the time what we lose money either in stock or real estate is when we try to make a quick buck. Okay, this stock is going to go up tomorrow and we're going to sell it and make $10,000. It's not going to happen. It may happen to 1 in 1,000 but not to you. And you have to accept this thing. Invest in companies that have good long-term potential. I lost money that way, trying to make a quick buck. Everybody did that thing, but it's a good learning point and try to learn from it. And similarly, it's always good to be reasonable and then rational. I think there's another point in that book is sometimes reasonable is better than being rational. And the example they gave is most of the time the mortgage interest that you get is very low, and people always say, okay, instead of paying off the mortgage, get another property and pay off that one. But the peace of mind you get that this house is yours is much more satisfying than getting another property. So it's a reasonable decision. It may not be rational, but it's a reasonable decision. So I think that's another important point from that book that I took away. So
I love about the way that you were talking about when you were learning, you were laughing. And it just made me think, if you can laugh through your learning moments, that's just a whole different mindset piece. Be serious, but at the same time, laugh through your learning moments. I think that's really interesting. What was the name of that book again?
It's called Psychology of Money. I think it's
I've read that. Yep.
Yeah, I think it's Mughal Hansal. I forgot the name of it. Let me Google it really quick.
Yo, Google. And while you're doing that, while you were mentioning making decisions on investments, it made me think of The Richest Man in Babylon. What is it?
Morgan Housel.
Morgan, okay. Perfect. Psychology of Money. Yes. And it made me think of the book, The Richest Man in Babylon, where he had given his children just a small piece of the inheritance and tell them they'll go, come back to me in 10 years or something along those lines. And the one child had lost it because he had invested, I'm paraphrasing, I'm probably tearing this apart, and gave this person his money. I think it was like a bricklayer or something like that, to go invest and buy some clothing or something, had nothing to do with bricks. So this guy had no idea what they were buying, and he was trusting him. But yeah, Richest Man in Babylon, great book, by the way, quick read as well, too, as well as Psychology of Money, great read as well, too. Now, you've mentioned hobbies versus social pressure. Can you expand on how that plays out, like with cars and homes and lifestyle creep?
Sorry, what do you say?
Yeah.
What did I write about the hobbies?
You've mentioned hobbies versus social pressure. Can you expand on that and how that plays out with cars and homes and lifestyle creep?
So yeah, I think that's a very interesting point. As a physician, you go I think, let me give you an example. Sometimes you don't have interest in something, and you just because of pressure, you start doing this thing. Almost all the physicians I meet have a very expensive car, and most of them has no interest in car. Most of them do not know the basic features of that car they're buying. They're just buying because they have to buy it. And I think
Yeah.
that like when I was signing a job and everybody was asking me the same question, like, which car are you gonna buy? I'm like, I don't know. I don't have no interest in cars.
Yeah.
But again, like do things that align with your hobbies rather than just for the pressure of it. Obviously, it's kind of also like when you go out, you meet people like to a place. If let's go to a friend, and there are five physicians, all of them have big car, and you're going with your Honda Accord, you will feel pressure to buy a big
Yeah.
car, a big and expensive car. So, and similarly for the house, like how big of a house do you need? Does it align with your goals uh, or not? Versus how big of a house you need to show to your community.
Mhm.
So I think that's something like we do most of the things for so out of social pressure versus out of need. Like right now, like I don't have a big house. Luckily, my wife and we understood that part, and we got a 4 bedroom house in Lake Charles, and it's still a good area, but we only use 1 bedroom. All three
Mhm.
bedrooms are pretty much empty most of the time. I mean, obviously, we sometimes guess when my parents come or my brother visit, we need them. But imagine if I get like $1 million, 1.5 million house, and then I have like 10 bedroom or 7 bedroom with big driveway. Most of these things will not be useful for me. And
Mhm.
getting that house will be good on your social CV, but may not be good for your mental health or for financial health. So
Mhm.
obviously, if you want to get a big house, you like big house and you are happy for it, go for it. But just out of social pressure, you don't get things like that, especially cars and houses, or even like golf. Like most people have no interest in golf; they're just playing it because it's kind of a cool social thing to do. Like you move up the social ladder, you start playing golf
Mhm.
or whatever activity you start doing it. And yeah,
Yeah.
even vacations, like I mean I like to take more vacations than getting a big car or big house. So
Yeah.
but again, like it's variable.
Yeah. And you mentioned, 1.5 for like a 10 bedroom. There are some markets in the US where 1.5 may be lucky to get you a 2 bedroom. So it's
Ex-
definitely market driven. But what has to drive your decisions, like you're saying, is those values that align with your goals and making sure that that's uh, your thermostat. Like that's what's setting and
exactly.
controlling things in your life.
Exactly. We don't realize this thing, and then like it's so it's that happened at such a subconscious level that you just start giving way to this thing, and then you start next thing is one thing after another one. But if you look at it, there's no end to spending money. You can spend as much money as you want. As you, I mean, and you see Mr. Beast, he can just buy like 10 Lamborghini and just throw them in a trash and he make a
Hmm.
video out of it. So you can
Hmm.
spend as much money as you can. So there's no limit to it. You just have to
And
do your own thing and be your own judge and where you want to spend and how you want to spend.
Yep. For some of the listeners who may not know Mr. Beast is a YouTube profile or personality that basically spends a lot of money, does some cool stuff, does some dumb stuff, but money is just a piece of the machine, the process, the system. And it looks like there's no value to it. But we're talking about value aligned investing. What does Islamic investing mean to you? And how do you align your portfolio or decisions with those principles?
Yeah, that's a very interesting topic, and I'm glad you asked about it. So there are a few differences between Islamic financing and regular financing. The basic principle is riba-free investment, which is interest-free investment, and this is a pretty alien concept in Western culture.
Yes.
I think we should just go to a little bit of more background of it so we understand it a little bit more. In the earlier days, in 600 and 500 AD, when there were no banking, people like let's suppose I need to pay I have a big expense, either a funeral or a wedding coming up. I'll take a loan from a loan shark or whatever they call it
Mhm.
at that time, and they would give you at an interest rate. For example, like if you take like $1,000, it's like 10% per month. So it's a very high interest rate that people would take their loan from, and whatever interest rate is. But again, like you just start paying the money, and obviously for a person who's a laborer who's not rich, it's very hard to pay off the loan. So and let alone the interest on it. And over time, what you see that they pay the loan shark not just 1,000, they pay like 10,000, and the loan is still standing at the $1,000. So it's pretty much an exploitation of the need of poor people. So to stop this thing, the Islam came up with, like, when you would give loan, it should be interest free. That means you cannot charge interest on it. That's the initial principle. Now, nowadays, the housing market, the auto market, they don't operate without the interest. So there are two schools of thought on that one. Like there's one like consumable versus non-consumable item. Like if you have, I may be wrong, I'm not an expert on Islamic financing. Like the money, if you're using it, giving it just as a money, you cannot charge interest on it. That's a given. However, if you are using it as an first item that you're going to consume, like a house, if you're getting a house, the house price is $100,000. In 15 years, it will be $300,000. So even if you're paying a little bit more, it's not the same as exploitation as it was on money. So some Islamic scholars allow it on housing. Others say no, it's still not. It's the same principle. It's the same principle of it is still not allowed for it. So basically, the way Islamic financing helps with this is two ways. One, what they do is they buy the property and kind of with you. So it's the owner is not just you. The bank is also the owner with you. And as you pay initially interest of rent, you pay instead of interest, you pay them rent. And as you're like same way, like as you pay more and more, you buy more of the more property. So part of it's going to the rent and part of it's for the property payment. So over time, your rent will go down and your property percentage, ownership percentage will go up. So that's one thing where you do it. The other thing they sometimes do it is, let's suppose the property is $100,000. They use the same interest rate calculation. It's not like they're using any different size. They use the same interest principle and they apply to it and say, okay, over 15 years, it costs us like $130,000. So we're going to charge you $130,000. So instead of $100,000, you're charging you $130,000. It's kind of a fix you're going to pay for it. So that's how the Islamic financing is different. The second thing is obviously it has to be shared profit and loss. Like fixed interest, like if you deposit cash in a bank, you cannot get fixed interest on it. So the way Islamic financing works is that they invest in some businesses, and most of the time these businesses are profitable, so you get a share of that profit. So the fixed deposit and fixed interest is not allowed. It's prohibited in Islam. The third thing is it has to be ethical. Like for example, I cannot invest in gambling because it's prohibited in Islam. I cannot invest in pornography business. It's prohibited. Alcohol is prohibited, so I cannot invest in alcohol. So and then transparency, like it has to be done in good faith. It should not be done to harm other people, and that's like, so these are some of the basic principles. Obviously, there are a lot of experts who spend their whole life studying Islamic finance. And I have to give a disclaimer, I'm not an Islamic finance expert. It's just the study that I did. And these are some of the principles I try to apply in my life.
Very, very interesting. And huge difference here in the States. Not that, I'm advocating that a fixed rate is taking advantage of somebody. I'm not advocating for any of those things. I think it's a great gift that we have here when we're able to leverage it, but it also has to align with the values of who we are as an investor. You mentioned that you have recently had a little seed planting in your head about this real estate investing thing. Now, as an attending physician, you're kind of, having that capacity, you're getting closer to that investment piece. How does this work for you? How do you now start aligning your values with your goals, leaning into real estate?
Yes. So I think there's one more point I missed about Islamic finance, and then we'll go. It's like the speculation is not allowed. Like investment based on speculation, like day trading. Like if you think, oh, it's going to go up and go down, it's not allowed. You can research it, and based on that, you can do it. So I think part of it is also like I lost money in stocks,
Hmm.
not fully understanding that one. And if you look at the real estate market, it's a big market, and it's like back where I am from. My father and everyone around me, each time they save money and whenever they have money, they try to invest in real estate because that's a tangible asset.
Hmm.
Not like stock or a company. Let's suppose you invest in a company and it closes down tomorrow, you lose all your money. I mean, it can still happen to real estate. I mean, given that, but over time, majority of the properties they increase in value, and you can earn from the rent. You can earn from the price increase, and then in USA also there's a lot of other advantages. There's like depreciation that you can show on your tax. You can have, I think it's 1030, where you can just sell the property and not and buy a new one.
1031.
Or
Yep. 1031
1031.
exchange. Yep.
And so there's also like tax advantages for that one. And so, I mean, right now I'm just like studying a little bit for now, but plan is to invest in few properties through the Islamic financing. There are few banks uh, which do this for us, and go from there. I think we are in a good position to have in USA, where we have this facility available, and not just having the property, but also like you can do Airbnb and get a rental income either through the renting company or just management company through the Airbnb. So I think that's the long-term plan. But again, for now, I'm just like studying the market and just saving some money for that.
Yeah. So with the Islamic investing site, does that mean that you would be targeting to acquire the entire, like all cash, not leveraging or borrowing any, or the amount that you're borrowing is based off of that
Yeah.
rent to own kind of scenario?
Yeah, this borrowing should be based on that rent to own situation. So,
Okay.
and you can either do a joint venture with a bank, or you can 4 or 5 people can come together. They can do it. So there are a lot of options. Like I said, in Islam, like they say, the trade is halal, which is permissible, but interest, like just like a fixed interest, is not permissible. So like kind of you do business with the bank by doing like a rent sharing, and from that perspective.
That's
But again,
amazing.
like
So
the
then,
Islamic banking, I have to give that Islamic banking, they calculate the rates and the rents based on the interest rate of the current market.
mhm.
So,
Yeah, right.
so it's not as black and white as it
Yeah.
appears.
Yeah, nothing really is. I mean, building relationship, that's how you develop that transparency in those types of situations. Once you have that relationship, then you create uh, consistency through volume. Once okay, this one, and then I do it again, and then I do it again. That's where we
Correct.
develop systems and processes for sure.
Yeah,
Then we have a little better idea of what to expect.
yeah, exactly. I mean, I think I'll go back to the psychology of money, where they say that over time, like the compound thing is much better than just like one big investment. So
Yeah.
obviously, I think if you just keep on trying, that's over time. The hope is, if you do it the right way, over time you will have some tangible asset for your retirement.
And are you currently, I mean, I could not imagine the demand on your time right now. How are you continuing to take action? Are you reaching out to any clubs or meetups or different groups, or conversating with certain people? How are you continuing to take action towards this goal of being a real estate investor?
So I think my main focus is on my job, my career. Like, yeah, is not one of the things that like I want to be a big real estate investor. I think my whole job is to invest my money in a safe way, and most of the time it's just like reading about it or just talking to people. But yeah, I'm not. I don't plan to be a real estate professional or real estate like big time tycoon.
Hmm.
It's kind of like whatever extra money I have, or if I have, uh, use it appropriately and not waste it. and that's the
Hmm.
goal. And my main focus is my job, which is very demanding, and I am 100% committed to it. And whatever time I left off, I mostly spend with my family, and sometime obviously you read about thing and listen to people like you,
Yeah.
follow different groups nowadays. I think there are a lot of physician groups which talk about it, and then when you are at when you are attending level, I'm pretty sure the same with you. Like people just reach out to you, and that's
Hmm.
where I go back to the one point. Like just try to understand what they're trying to sell you
Yeah.
before you
Yeah.
start investing with them. So I think that's where we are right now.
Yeah, being overwhelmed with people reaching out to you and expressing how great their product is or their service is and how that's going to change your life. That's got to be overwhelming too. Fun little like speaking. How many like at least two, right? Two different languages. How many
Yeah, I
languages do you
speak two
speak?
languages. Yeah.
Two languages. I don't know what that
Yeah,
is. I can
I
get
speak
my
Urdu and then like switch it to English as needed.
yeah. I
In my
can get
mind,
myself in
I'm speaking in Urdu and then I'm like translating in English.
You say Hindu? Is that what you said?
Urdu.
Urdu.
Urdu, yeah.
Urdu.
You
See,
are
I can't even say that. Yeah, I can't even say
exactly.
that. I have enough.
Yeah.
I can get myself in trouble with Spanish, and that's about it. So I can't imagine like that journey and that change. But I mean, it's just like you said before. Everybody has their own stack of experiences or their own journeys, right? And putting these pieces together has led you to this. I give you credit for keeping the one thing, the one thing. But here comes my only piece of unsolicited advice. Here is keep real estate in your view at some point,
Yeah.
because I always hear I should have done it sooner. I should have done it more. Not that it has to change your main thing. Keeping the one thing is important, but don't let it slip from you. Okay, so I think that you have some great opportunities. I have nothing to gain from that advice. It's just something that helping others get there, I think, is really important. I think that you're on a great path. I think that we've had a wonderful conversation. You showed me so much, and I'm sure the listeners too have gained some of that experience that you've had, unique experiences. So thank you so much, Ahmad.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure. And if the listeners want to connect with you, maybe they're in the Lake Charles area, maybe they're on a similar path to you earlier in their career, and want to learn even more about the Islamic investing ideas, right? Not that you're a professional in it,
I'm not a professional. I have
or
to give a disclaimer.
consultant.
I'm not a financial expert. I'm not an
Yeah,
Islamic finance expert. I only give unsolicited advice. So
that's right. That's right. And
if you ever
you
need
laugh while
unsolicited
you learn.
advice, I'm the guy.
And you laugh while you learn. And that's what I love about you. It's been a great conversation. Where can the listeners connect with you?
They can connect with me on Twitter. It's Armogan MD I'll send you the message with ARMOGHAN MD. Armogan is actually my middle name, so I
Oh,
don't
very
normally
cool.
use it because people have a hard time pronouncing even Ahmad or Awan. So
Yeah.
I feel
Yeah.
like they will just have a stroke pronouncing Armogan. So
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much. We'll put that in the show description too. And hey, let's stay in touch. And until then, enjoy this beautiful day down there in Louisiana.
thank you so much. Thank you.
Hey, another great conversation here. And hey, that was refreshingly honest. Dr. Awan reminded us that freedom isn't found in flashy cars or big homes. It's in alignment, patience, and doing the work before chasing the wind. If you want to reach out to Ahmad, you can find him on Twitter or X. And his tag is ARMOGHANMD. And that'll be in the show description as well. And as always, thank you for your time. And more importantly, thank you for your attention. This is the Real Estate Mogul MD.
This episode is powered by Crescent Tech. If you are looking for a CRM built for real estate investors, discover Streamline REI by Crescent Tech. Simplify, automate, close faster.